In one of my last videos I already explained how to convert the standard waypoint mission you see here on the controller into a straight line version of the same mission. And therefore I explained the several steps we have to take. So first of all you have to download the KMZ file, you have to extract the content of it, replace some text in the waylines.wpml, then create afterwards a zip file and a KMZ file again and upload it to the controller. But what if we can make it a little bit easier for us for the whole process? And this is where I had the idea, okay, why not create a script for it which will do all the things automatically for me, the whole extraction and the replacement, and create a zip file again and create the KMZ file again. I started to explain a little bit in my last video, but in this video I want to do a deep dive how I accomplished this mission, and also a little bit hint for you if you're Windows, how you can do the same thing on Windows. So let's get started. Now let me walk you step by step through the AppleScript I created. On the left hand side you see the AppleScript editor. On the right hand side is the Finder, the directory where my actual file, the KMZ file, is in. So starting from the script editor, first command is to ask for the file I want to process. So this is a command for asking for a file, and I set the default location to my downloads folder. Now before actually doing something I need some variables. The first one is the directory I'm working in. I set it to target dir and use the POSIX command to get the absolute path, because otherwise it will fail if you don't have the absolute path, the correct one we're working in. Then I create a variable for the backup file, a name. I'm just placing the .kmz with .backup. And the same goes for the zip file. I'm replacing .kmz with .zip. At this point of time, these are all variables. Nothing has happened so far. And at this point, I'm displaying a dialog which will actually pause the script so you can have a check. Where are you? Is everything working as expected? This is my kind of doing a debug to check where I am. So now the first execution, this is where this actual work is happening. I'm copying the file name, the KMZ file, into the name of the backup file. So now I create a backup for my KMZ file I'm using. Next up is I'm renaming the KMZ file from .kmz to .zip. This is with this command. And finally I'm decompressing the zip file to get the wpmz directory where my actually waypoint files will be in. Now after the decompress I do a little bit of cleanup. I don't need the zip file anymore and therefore I just remove it. And now it comes to the actual processing of the waylines.wpml file. So first of all we set the file path by combining the directory with this path to the waylines file. And now we open it for reading. And the first thing we have to do is we have to replace the use straight lines from 0 to 1. So therefore I set two strings, the search string, the replace string. And with this command I'm processing the actual file content. I have a function which is called replace text. I'll explain this one at the end, which takes as parameter the file content we have, the search and the replace string. And then put the result in a new variable called updated content. Then we continue with the next part. This is the waypoint heading mode. We want to set it from smooth to follow wayline. Again, we set our search and replace string. And now watch out, here's a little bit tricky because we just updated the straight lines and put it in the updated content. Therefore, for our next round, where we call the replace function, we have to hand over the replace function the updated contents variable. Otherwise, we will just do the setting, the replacement of the heading mode in the original file and forget about the straight lines we did before. So, therefore, for the next round, always use the updated content because there is everything stored. And this continues for the to point and pass with continuity curvature. So we're looking for this string and replace it. And there's another one we have to replace, and this is to point and stop with continuity curvature. And this is what we replace with this one. After doing all this of replacement, the final part is to save the content back to the file. Now, after finishing the conversion, we have to reverse the whole process, create a zip file or a KZip file again. So we start with the compressing. As you can see here, I have again my display dialog. This is my kind of debugging. I do a stop over here to check in the Finder on the right-hand side if everything works as expected. And for that to work, we have to pay attention. If we do the normal compress command from Mac, you will have the full absolute path for it with users, the name of the user on the Mac, and then the actual directory. This is something the DJI controller won't understand. So therefore we need a relative path. I'd set the result source to wpmz and the target is the wpmz.zip. So this is to make sure that we get not the full-blown path here afterwards for our KMZ file. Then we do the actually compressing of the files. We display a dialog again, some kind of debugging. Then we set the extracted directory to the wpmz and remove it. This is our cleanup. And then we do the next thing. This is set the name for the new zip file. This is wpmz.zip. This is a new file name. And there we do the rename. We want to rename it from .zip back to .kmz. And this is the final part of the conversion and the compression to make it a simple KMZ file again. And finally, at the end, you find my replace text function. This is because there's no global search and replace from AppleScript, so we have to do some tricks at this point. So how does it work? First, we save the normal delimiter we have in Apple for automatically converting it to a list to the standard one. So this is space. And then we instruct Apple to use a new delimiter for creating a list for, so to speak, cutting things into pieces. And this is our search string. For example, the first part, it was use straight line set to 0. This is our new delimiter. And now we ask Apple to put it in slices and pieces using this new search string. Then, after we finish that, we want to create from the list a string again, and there we instruct Apple to use the replace string as a new replacement part between those parts of the list. And finally, we instruct Apple to go back to the standard delimiter they have, so the space. And this is a function we are always using when we do the replace operation. But now, much of theory, let's have a look how it looks like if we run our script. So now for the actual testing, we can do it right out of the script editor from Apple. But let's check where we put a break, so to speak, with the display dialog. So there we have a backup message over here. And let's make another break before the actual processing of the file will start. Now he is decompressing, he's removing the zip file, and this is the part where he starts with the conversion. So all we have to do is display dialog and say start conversion. So we have a message to check where he is. If you just click on the hammer here, you do a check if the syntax is okay. Seems to be okay. And then we do the replacement, and then we do the saving of the file, and then we do the start compress. Okay, some breaks in between so we can have a look what's happening behind the scenes. Now we're good to go, and we hit the play button. Now there we start with the downloads folder. I pick my file, my KMZ file, and he now breaks with this display dialog over here to start the backup. We press OK. And you can see on the right hand side on the Finder there's a backup file created. He already extracted the KMZ file or the zip file, and he's now ready to start the conversion. So we hit OK. Conversion has finished. Now he wants to do the compress again. It's done. You see WPMZ file is now compressed to WPMZ.zip. He wants to do the cleanup, fine for it. And then finally rename it from zip to KMZ again, and then replace it with the original file name, the test mission. And there we go, ready. Last thing we can do, we can check if it actually works. So we just click on it and then rename KMZ manual back to zip. Yes, we're fine with it. Extract it. There we have it. Open it. And have to move it in from another part of my computer. So, and here you can see the complete file we have. And it seems that it works as expected. We can do quick checks. For instance, here the use straight line is set to 1. The waypoint turning mode is set to discontinuity, and the heading mode is set to follow wayline. Very good. So we have it. This way we can fully automate the process of conversion from a standard file into a straight line waypoint mission. Now the script that is presented was purely for Apple. If you're on Windows, try the quick trick. I asked Gemini to create me a version for Windows, and he suggested a PowerShell script. So here we go. We have the main PowerShell script for the conversion, so similar to my logic. And as soon as it comes to the actual replacement, there's a function for it, the replace text, and this is what you see here in the replace text.ps1 script, the PowerShell script. So with this one, in theory, you should do the same thing on Windows, but as I cannot test it, I can only provide you with a script in the comments below. But maybe you give it a try and comment on it if it works, or if there are some things which has to be corrected for that one. So here we have it, one script for Apple users, one script for Windows users. I'll leave links in the comments below so you can download it directly to your computer. And as stated before, this is a Windows script. I haven't tested because I have no Windows machine. Would be great if some of you can give it a try and tell us all in the comments below if it works. Next up on my list is to make a video what will happen if you upload the converted file to the controller and then hit save on the controller, because this will mess up the whole work you did. So be aware of that. And until then, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.